Imagine an app that alerts you to negative reviews before they damage your reputation, or even detects if online information is misleading. In today's digital world, understanding text is more important than ever. I will show you how to use the power of AI for sentiment analysis, and much more, all without complicated training data. Forget complex machine learning models. Today, we are diving into the cutting-edge world of zero-shot analysis. By the end of this tutorial, you will have your own AI-powered tool to decode emotions, opinions, and even the truthfulness of information. So, let's dive in. Hello everyone, I'm excited to be back with another AI tutorial. I have always been fascinated on how machine can understand emotions. Imagine an app that can instantly alert you to a negative review in your website, giving you the chance to address unhappy customer before things escalate. Or a browser extension that can potentially flag misleading articles or social media posts, allowing you to make informed decisions about the information you consume. In today's tutorial, we are going to build a sentiment analysis tool using OpenAI and Streamlit. So, without any further delay, let's get started. Let's now start building the application. In this part, we are going to install the required libraries, import libraries, set up OpenAI, and then create the OpenAI client. So let's start installing the required libraries. So we'll say here pip install required OpenAI, and we need another library which is pip install required python -.env. Let's run the code. Next we will import the required libraries. We'll say import OpenAI and then import OS. Now we are going to create a function to set up the OpenAI client. So we'll say define setup underscore OpenAI, and then we'll say from OpenAI import OpenAI, and then from .env import load underscore .env and find underscore .env. Next we will say load underscore .env find, and then override equal true to make sure we are using the OpenAI API key from the environment file. Next we will say client is equal to OpenAI API underscore key is equal to os.environ.get OpenAI underscore API underscore key. Then we'll print a message if it is loaded successfully. API key loaded os.environ.get OpenAI underscore API underscore key. And the condition here is not none. It will print true if it is not none. After that, this function will return the client. Let's run the code. Now we will create our OpenAI client. We'll say client is equal to setup OpenAI. Let's run the code. And we got an error here because of spelling mistake. I have to remove this here. Let's run this again. And API key loaded successfully. In the next part, we will build the sentiment analysis function. Alright everyone, now in this part we are going to build the classify sentiment analysis function, which is the core of our application. So we will say define get underscore sentiment underscore analysis. This function will take two arguments, a prompt and emotions. We are going first to define the system underscore prompt, which is equal to f multi-line string. We're going to say here, you are an emotionally intelligent assistant. Classify the sentiment of the user's text with only one of the following emotions. After that, we'll say, after classifying the text, respond with the emotion only. Next, we are going to say here, response is equal to client.chat.completions.create. For model, I'm going to use GPT 3.5 Turbo, but feel free to use any other model. So we'll say here GPT-3.5-Turbo. And for messages, it's equal to role, system, content is system prompt. For the user role, here we'll have role, user, content, prompt. Alright. And for maximum underscore token, for this example, we are going to use 20. And for temperature, it's going to be equal to 0. After that, we are going to say R, which is the response, is equal to response dot choices index 0 dot message dot content. And here we are going to check if R is equal nothing, empty string, R is equal not applicable. And finally, we are going to return R. Let's run the code, make sure everything is working fine. Alright, what we did here is we created this function getSentimentAnalysis. This function takes a piece of text and determines its dominant emotion from a provided list of emotion, example positive, negative, or neutral. It uses OpenAI language model to achieve this in a zero-shot manner without needing pre-existing training data. Then here we define the system prompt. This code here constructs a well-defined instruction for the OpenAI model. It behaves like an emotionally intelligent assistant, and we limit the output to a single emotion from the provided list. Then here in the response, we send the system prompt and the user text prompt to the OpenAI chat completion API using the GPT 3.5 Turbo model. The API will return a response object. Then this line of code here digs into the response to retrieve the single emotion generated by the AI model. It accounts for potentially empty response with an not applicable feedback. And then finally the function sent back the identified emotion, example positive, as the output. In summary, this function cleverly leverages OpenAI language understanding capability to perform sentiment classification without complex training processes. Now let's test our application. So here, let's define an emotions. We'll say emotions is equal to positive, negative, and neutral. Okay. For prompt, we'll say first, today was amazing. I finally got that promotion and made some fantastic new friends. Now we will call our function getSentimentAnalysis. We are going to pass the prompt and emotions. Okay, this function will return the response. So let's print the response. We'll say print. Let's run the code. Here we get an error because of a missing S here. So this one is supposed to be maximum tokens. So let's run the code again and run the test. and we get positive. So it's working fine. Let's test different prompt. So we'll say here prompt is equal to, without anything it says neutral. Now let's say the view from this hiking trail is absolutely breathtaking. Send the code and positive. Another prompt. Now let's try something negative. We'll say I'm so frustrated with my car breaking down again. This is the worst day. Let's run the code and negative. Okay. Now we can also use this application to detect fake news. Let's see how. I'm going to define here a new emotions equal to fake real. And now for prompt, I'm going to say new study claims eating chocolate every day makes you live longer. Okay, and I'm going to copy this function. Let's run the code. It's fake news. Okay, now let's try also another one, another prompt. Prompt is equal NASA successfully launches a new rover to explore Mars. Okay, let's run the code. And it's a true news. Okay, you can use this function for a lot of different scenarios. Let's say you wanted to use it to check if information or facts are true or false. So let's say here, for example, I'm gonna call this one, instead of emotion, facts is equal to true, false. Okay, and now for prompt, I'm going to say the earth revolves around the sun. Okay, I'm gonna copy this function again, but here instead of emotion I'm gonna pass the facts. Let's run the code and true. Now let's check for false facts. Let's say the capital of France is Berlin. Let's run the code and it's false. Alright guys, that's it. We have built an amazing, very powerful sentiment analysis function. In the next part of this tutorial, we are going to build a UI for this function to have an app using Streamlit. In this part, we are going to start building the UI of our application using Streamlit. First, we have to install the required library. Here there's a file called requirements.txt where we have OpenAI, Streamlit, and python.env. And I have a file here called key.txt, which include my OpenAI API key. I'm using PyCharm, by the way, but feel free to use any other editor such as Visual Studio Code. So the first step here is to install the required library. So if we go to the terminal and we say pip install -r requirements.txt, and it's done. By this we now have all the required library. So let's start building the app. In this first part we are going to prepare the functions that we created in the Jupyter notebook, and then in the next part we are going to create the layout. So first we have to import Streamlit as st, then we are going to import OpenAI, and also we are going to import OS. Okay, next we are going to copy the setup OpenAI functions that we created in Jupyter notebook. So I'm going to copy this function and paste it here. Okay, next we are going also to copy the sentiment classification function as well. So we are going to copy this function as well and paste it here. One modification we have to add here is the following. We'll say here client is equal to setup underscore OpenAI. Alright, that's it for this part. In the next part, we are going to start building the UI. Alright everyone, in this part we are going to build the layout for our application. So what we have done so far is that we installed the required libraries which are Streamlit, OpenAI and python-env. And then we import these libraries and we copied the two functions that we created in our Jupyter notebook. Okay, so now we have to start building the UI. So we'll say the following: if underscore name equal main. This is the entry point of our application. Next we will say from.env import load.env and find.env. Next we are going to say load.env and find underscore.env override equal to. Okay, next in this application we are going to have two columns. So we'll have column 1, column 2 is equal to streamlit.columns, and we are going to give the first one 0.85% and the other one is 0.515, which is 15%. Next we are going to set up the column 1 to have the title and column 2 to have an icon. So we will say with column 1 streamlit.title and we are gonna call it 0 shot sentiment analysis. With column 2 we are going to have an image. I have an image in the same folder of this application. It's called icon. So we'll have here icon.png and I'm going to give the width to be equal to 70%. Okay. Let's run our application now and see how it looks. To run the application, we have to say streamlit run app.py. And this is our application so far. Let's go back to our code editor and continue working on the app. Now let's continue building our application. So we have now the title and the icon. Now we want to build the form for our application. We want to have a text area and a text input. The text input is where the user will input the emotion required for the sentiment analysis. And the text area, it will be used for the text to be classified. So we'll say with streamlit.form, I'm going to give a key to the form to be my_form. And we are going to define emotions, which is going to be the default emotions. So we'll say here emotions equal positive, negative, neutral. Next, we are going to define streamlit.text input. Label will be emotions and value is going to equal to emotions. Now this will return the emotion we have input by the user. So to differentiate between these two, let's call these default_emotions and I'm gonna put it here. Okay. Next, we are going to define a text area. So we'll say streamlit text_area, and for the label is going to equal to text to classify. And this also will return the text. So we'll say here text equal streamlit.text area. Next, we are going to have a button. I'm gonna call it submit_button is equal to streamlit.form submit button, and the label is equal to classify. Now we will check if submit button clicked. We are going to say emotion equal get sentiment analysis, and we are going to pass the text entered by the user and the emotions entered by the user. Result is equal to not this, let me have here an f string. We'll say result is equal to text emotion and new line, and then we are going to say Streamlit.write result. We are printing the result to the user. Now we'll say Streamlit.divider. Now we want to save all the text and emotion entered by the user to the session state. So we'll say if history not in Streamlit.session state if this is the first time the user enters the text. So we'll say if result exists, we'll say Streamlit.session state.history equal result. Okay, else Streamlit.session state history equal empty string. We did not get a result. All right. Else, if it is not the first time, so we'll say Streamlit.session state history plus equal result. Okay. Now we want to display the session state, the history, in a text area. But first we have to check if Streamlit.session state history exists. Then we will say Streamlit.text area label equal history, and the value is session state history, and we will give the height of this text area to equal to 400. Okay, let's save now and go back to our website and check. I will hit here always rerun. Okay, so this is now our application. We have the default values of emotion: positive, negative, neutral. So let's test it. I'm going to say here, I feel very happy today. I will click classify, and it's positive. And as you can see, it is saved to the session state. Let's try something else. I feel sick today. I'm going to take vacation tomorrow. Let's click classify, and it's negative. So it's working as expected. With just few lines, we were able to create an sentiment analysis app. Okay, now if we want to enter something else, let's say true, false. Okay, and for the text, let's say the earth is revolving around the sun. Let's classify, and it's true. So this is how you can create a sentiment analysis application using OpenAI and Streamlit. That's it, everyone. You have now built a powerful sentiment analysis tool. Now experiment with different prompts, explore other use cases, and keep building awesome things with AI. This is just the beginning of zero-shot analysis. If you like this video, hit like, subscribe, and let me know what you want to see next.